After letting go of my ego and discovering my inner power, I started to notice some changes in my life. I became more open to different things and started to read more about many life phenomena. One of the topics was about dreams. I was very interested in one particular nightmare I had for most of my life. In that dream, I was always alone in my room, where I suddenly started to feel fear, which was a trigger for some kind of darkness to haunt me. It usually entered the room from a window and wanted to absorb me. I had tried to escape it countless times, but always failed. Later I also had become easily able to recognize the dream and consciously let myself be caught, so I could end the dream. But once I began to read more about those issues, I wanted to defeat the darkness or become friends with it. I was sick of running away. Gradually my awareness and willpower grew bigger. I stopped escaping from my life and took responsibility. For the first time I felt the courage to face my fears head on. I realized that I had nothing to fear but the fear itself. When I embraced my fear, when I acknowledged it instead of running away from it, my fear was dispelled, and I finally stopped having the nightmares. I also became more active and took part in many sport camps for people with disabilities. I started to notice how well people like me were actually doing. I became friends with a guy who was also in a wheelchair, but he looked very cool and inspiring to me. I realized that my wheelchair didn't define me at all. In fact, I even thought that being in a wheelchair could be awesome, challenging but still cool. That the only thing that was different about me was my attitude. At one point I also met with one of my brother's friends who gifted me a few books to read, like Messages from Your Angels by Doreen Virtue and other esoteric books. It's just amazing how perfect was the timing for that. Reading these books let me discover a totally new world. My perspective on things changed a lot. I became more positive about my life and learned to feel gratitude for seemingly small things in life. I finally thought that maybe my accident had happened for a reason. I opened up to the possibility that this was a gift to be shared. I realized that I create my own reality and my thoughts have a tremendous power, so I began to think mostly positive thoughts. I started to look inside for answers and not blame the external world for my misery. I started to see myself as a creator, not a victim. As time went by, my relationships were also slowly starting to transform. The boys at school weren't so mean to me anymore and everything else also looked brighter. Yes, it's true that we all had become more mature, but still, good things were starting to happen to me, which proved me that the inner world creates the outer world. I realized that everything starts with believing in yourself. Just like that, with a decision to be brave. I had to experience a lot of suffering to finally recognize this simple truth, but I'm so grateful